The night was calm on the alien colony world of Kairos. Twin moons hung in the violet sky, casting pale light over the wide gathering hall where humans and aliens met for the first time. The colony had waited years for this moment, the arrival of a human representative. No one expected danger. No one expected what was about to happen. The human, tall and steady, stepped into the hall. His boots echoed against the stone floor, and his calm brown eyes scanned the curious alien crowd. He had faced battles before, storms before, but tonight he felt only curiosity. He was here to build trust, to meet the colony's leaders. Among the crowd stood a young alien girl, smaller than the rest, her silver skin glowing faintly under the moonlight. Her wide eyes followed the human with a strange intensity. At first, she felt only curiosity. Then, as he drew closer, something inside her stirred, something ancient, buried deep in her blood. Her chest tightened, her breath quickened. Heat rose in her body, wild and uncontrollable. The sound of her own heartbeat filled her ears. She tried to step back, but her legs trembled, refusing to obey. Her gaze locked on the human, as if he were prey, or something more dangerous. The hall fell silent as a low growl escaped her throat. The sound was not human, not even like her own people. It was feral, primal, raw, heads turned. Whispers spread through the alien crowd. The elders leaned forward in alarm. The human stopped in his tracks, confused. "Is something wrong?" he asked softly, his voice steady, but his eyes never leaving hers. The girl's fingers curled like claws. She could smell him, his sweat, his breath, even the faint musk of his skin. The scent was unlike anything she had known before, sharp and intoxicating, like fire in her lungs. Her body screamed to react, to move, to pounce. She shook her head violently, clutching her chest as though fighting an invisible chain. Too alien. Guards stepped forward to restrain her, but she hissed, baring her teeth in warning. The air grew heavy with tension. One more step, and the fragile piece of the gathering would shatter. The human raised a hand. "Wait," he said firmly. He did not draw a weapon, did not back away. Instead, he looked straight into the girl's glowing eyes. Something in his calm expression cut through the panic. For a heartbeat, she froze, torn between rage and fear, between instinct and reason. Then it happened. Her knees buckled, and she let out a sound between a scream and a howl. Her back arched, her veins burned like fire under her skin. The crowd recoiled in shock. A mother pulled her child away. The elders exchanged worried glances. None of them had ever seen a reaction like this before. "She's changing," one voice cried. "No, it's him. It's the human," another answered. The girl collapsed to the ground, clawing at the stone tiles. Her skin shimmered, as if something wild was trying to break free. Her eyes locked on the human again, filled with hunger and terror at the same time. The human's heartbeat quickened. He could feel it now, tooth a strange pull between them. His instincts screamed at him to step back, but he forced himself forward instead. Slowly, carefully, he knelt before her, ignoring the shouts of warning behind him. "It's all right," he whispered. "I don't want to hurt you." Her lips curled back in a snarl, but her body didn't strike. Instead, she trembled violently, every muscle tight like a bowstring ready to snap. She could not decide whether to attack him or cling to him. The scent of pheromones burned through her blood, and reason began to fade. The elder stepped forward, fear in his voice. "Move away from her, human. You do not understand what you are doing." But the human did not move. His calm eyes stayed on the girl. He could see her pain, her confusion. He had seen soldiers break under pressure, animals thrash against traps. But this was different. This was not madness. It was instinct. The girl let out a desperate cry and lurched forward. Gasps filled the hall as she reached for him. But instead of attacking, her hands clutched his shirt, her head pressing against his chest as if seeking his scent even more closely. The human froze, stunned. She was shaking uncontrollably, but she wasn't harming him. She clung to him like someone drowning, as if his very presence was the only thing keeping her alive. The hall erupted in chaos. Some aliens demanded she be taken away at once. Others shouted that the human must leave. But the elder only stared with grim recognition. His lips tightened, his voice low and heavy. "The old stories, they are true," he murmured. "Humans carry something in their blood, something that awakens the beast within us." The human looked up sharply. "What are you saying?" The elder's eyes glowed in the moonlight. "I am saying, human, that your very existence is poison to her, and yet somehow it is also her cure." The crowd fell silent again. All eyes turned to the human, still kneeling with the trembling girl clinging to him. He had come here too, form peace. Instead, he had become the center of fear, legend, and danger. And as the girl's wild eyes lifted to meet his, one truth cut deeper than all the whispers. This was only the beginning. The gathering hall emptied fast after the first shock. Doors slid open, guards guided families away, and whispers ran like wind through dry grass. Only a few stayed behind the elder. 2 guards, a healer, the human with the trembling alien girl clinging to his shirt. The twin moons threw silver lines across the floor. Dust drifted in the light like slow snow. "Bring them to the quiet room," the elder said. His voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. No sudden moves, no loud sounds. The human walked slowly, his hands open, letting the girl hold him as tightly as she needed. Her breath was hot against his chest. Every step he took sent a small shiver through her body, as if each footfall carried a signal only she could feel. The guards led them down a short corridor lined with cool blue crystals. The air smelled of stone and rain. Inside the quiet room, there were soft mats, low lamps, and a round basin of water. The healer lit a small bowl of steam herbs, and a gentle fog rose, sweet and clean. The girl still shook. Her eyes glowed faintly. Wildfire hidden behind a thin veil of reason. The elder studied them both. "Human," he said, "stand very still. We will learn how close you must stay." The human nodded. He did not give his name, and no one asked. Names felt fragile here, like glass in a room of storms. The elder lifted one hand. "Take 2 steps back." The human moved. The girl's fingers tightened. Her breath sharpened. A low sound threaded up her throat, not quite a growl, not quite a plea. "Tamor," the elder said. The human obeyed. At 4 steps, the girl's shoulders rose. At 6, her nails began to press through the cloth. At 8, her eyes flashed, and she made a small, desperate lunge. The human returned at once, crossing the space and kneeling. "I'm here," he whispered. "I'm not leaving." The change was sudden and clear. Her body eased. The wild edge faded a little. She pressed her forehead to his shoulder and breathed in slow, heavy pulls of air. The elder let out a long breath. "It is distance," he said softly. "Your scent keeps her mind from breaking. When it fades, the beast takes the light." The healer crouched near the basin. "We can try to carry his scent," she offered. She dipped a cloth in water, handed it to the human. "Press this to your pulse. Neck, wrist." He did as told. The healer took the damp cloth, and with the elder's nod, inched toward the girl. The human stayed still and spoke softly. "Look at me," he said. "Breathe with me. In, out, in, out." Her eyes found his. For a moment, she matched his rhythm. The healer gently touched the wet cloth to the girl's cheek. The girl flinched, then relaxed. The scent helped, but only a little. Again the elder said, "Step back slowly." The human moved 1 step. The girl's jaw tightened. 2 steps. Her breath broke. 3 steps. Her eyes flashed, and the wildness surged like a wave. He returned quickly and held out his hands, palms up. "It's okay. Keep breathing." And she reached for his wrists. Not to hurt, but to anchor. She closed her eyes and breathed again with him, slow, steady. Like climbing down from a high ledge in the dark, the elder folded his hands behind his back. "Long ago," he said, "our writers spoke of a beacon scent. Not poison, not magic. A signal. It called the soldier cast awake, sharpened instincts, pulled old memories from the blood. We thought it was myth. We were wrong." The human kept, his voice low, Can she control it? Perhaps the elder said, but only with an anchor. His gaze shifted to the human, and that anchor seems to be you. Silence settled. The lamps hummed. Somewhere deeper in the hall, a chime sounded the hour. The girl's trembling slowed. The human stayed where he was, patient as stone. One of the guard's broad-shouldered scar across his cheek cleared his throat. Elder, we cannot keep the human here. The council will demand he leave. If others react like she did, they will not come near. The healer cut in. We will seal the hall. The guard frowned. And if he is the cause of her frenzy? Human answered without looking up. I might also be the cure. The elder nodded, eyes thoughtful. We will test a different way, he said. He picked up a coil of soft rope from a shelf and set it on the floor, then drew a circle with chalk around the human and the girl. You two will stay inside the circle. You will make a second circle. He stepped back, drew a wider ring. And you, human, will move to the edge only when she is steady. They began small exercises. Human spoke simple words, counted breaths, tapped a slow rhythm on his knee. The girl followed the sound, the breath, the count. Faster, her eyes sharpened. When he slowed, they softened. He found a phrase that worked like a key. Look at me. Breathe with me, again and again. In and out. The room learned their pattern. After a while, the elder gestured. Now one step to the edge. The human rose halfway, moved one step, until his boot touched the chalk line. The girl's head turned, tracking him like a hunter tracks the moon. She did not lunge. Not yet. Another, the elder whispered. He moved. Its glow in her eyes flared, but her hands stayed where they were, gripping the mat. The human smiled carefully. That's it, he said. You're doing well. A sharp voice shattered the air. Enough of this. A tall alien strode into the doorway, rings of metal across his arms, a heavy staff in his hand. His gaze was cold, his jaw angry. Two more guards followed him, rough and eager. Vark the Elder said, and the name hung like iron. You were told to wait. I will not, Vark replied. His eyes cut to the human. One stranger arrives, and our young go mad. You call this peace? I call it danger. Send him away now. The girl's muscles tensed. Her head rose slow and sharp, and a growl built. Low in her chest, the human lifted his hands. Easy, he murmured. Breathe with me. In, out. Vark took a step inside, planting the staff hard on the stone. Ow. The sound cracked the quiet like a whip. The girl sprang up, not at the elder, not at the healer. She moved between Vark and the human, shoulders low, hands splayed, eyes bright with warning. It was not a mindless attack. It was protection. Vark sneered. See, a beast. You would keep this close to us? The elder's voice cut clean. She guards. She chooses. That is not the same as frenzy. Words, Vark spat. The council will meet at dawn. I will demand the human's exile. If you refuse, I will call the old law. The old law. Even the air cooled at those words. The healer bowed her head. The guards looked away. The human did not understand the details, but he understood enough. An old law meant old violence. Vark turned and left, his followers behind him. The room's quiet folded back around the small group. The human exhaled. What is the old law? The elder stared at the doorway for a long time before he answered. The right to drive out a threat by force, he said softly. If the council decides you must go, we will have little power to stop it. The human looked at the girl. Her breath was steady now. Her eyes still glowed, but the wildness was low, like coals after the flame. She seemed to listen to his heartbeat as if it carried maps back to safety. We have until dawn, the elder said. We must show them control is possible. And we teach her, the human replied. He settled on the mat again. We make the anchor strong. So they worked. Hour by hour, they built small bridges back to reason. The human counted. The girl followed. The healer brought water. The girl touched the cup only when the human held it. They tested distance again, one step to step sand. When panic rose, they returned to breath. The elder watched every change. with sharp eyes, making notes, drawing symbols, whispering small prayers learned before he had white hair. Sometimes the wildness surged without warning. A creak in the corridor, a lamp flicker, the clang of a distant gate-teach sound could cut the thread. When it did, the girl's hands would curl, her shoulders coil, and the room would tremble with what might happen next. Each time, the human's voice reached her. Look at me. Breathe with me. It worked. It's not always. Not perfectly. But it worked enough. Near midnight, the girl lifted her head and studied him with a different kind of focus. Her voice, when it came, was rough but clear. Why? Do you not fear me? The human blinked, surprised to hear words. "'Cause I see you," he said simply. "Not just the part that wants to run. It's not just the part that wants to fight." Eyes softened, then narrowed again as a footstep echoed outside the room. She flinched. He steadied her with the rhythm. In, out. In, out. The elder rubbed his temples. At dawn, he murmured, "They will ask if this bond is a chain or a telay. Path. We must show them the path." The human nodded. Did not feel like a hero. He felt tired, focused, needed. He kept counting. Seconds became minutes. Minutes wove into hours. The quiet room held them like a shell holds a tide. Just before first light, when the moons had slipped low and the sky began to pale, a harsh siren split the air. Not the hour chime, not a gate, an alarm. The elder's head snapped up. The healer froze. The girl's eyes flared bright, and the wildness surged like a storm breaking open. The human's heart pounded. He reached for her hands at once. "Look at me," he said, louder now, steady as he could make himself. "Breathe with me." Outside, boots pounded. A voice shouted from the corridor, urgent, afraid. "Elder, the outer ridge. Something's moving in the fog." The elder stepped to the door, face gone hard. Dawn had not yet come, but danger had. Arrived early. Inside the circle of chalk, the human held the girl's gaze and did not blink. If the council was to see control, they would have to survive this first. The alarm bell echoed through the stone halls like a hammer striking steel. The quiet room shuddered with footsteps and shouts. Smoke from the steam herbs curled above the mat where the alien girl crouched, her glowing eyes wide, fixed on the human. Her nails scraped the floor. Every sound outside tugging her closer to frenzy. The human gritted his teeth and tightened his hold on her trembling hands. "Stay with me. Don't listen to them. Listen to me." Steadying, each breath matched his command, though the growl beneath it remained. The elder turned sharply to the guards in the doorway. "Report." One guard, armor scratched with age, saluted quickly. "Movement in the fog at the ridge. Too large for a single beast, perhaps a herd, but..." He hesitated. "They move." Strangely, almost as if led, the elder's eyes narrowed, and the council, gathering in the high chamber. "They want the human there." The words dropped like heavy stones. The girl let out a sharp hiss at the mention. She tightened her grip on the human's sleeve as if she understood that counsel meant separation. The human glanced at the elder. "I'm not leaving her like this." The elder hesitated. "You may not have a choice. The council will not wait. And if Vark has his way, you'll be cast out before dawn." The girl's voice broke through, rough but clear. "No. Not leave." Her words shook, but they were words. The healer gasped softly. "She speaks under control of the bond, as never happened." The elder pressed his palm against his forehead. The old text warned this was possible, called them fables, cursed stories. They spoke of humans carrying signals in their blood, unlocking what should remain hidden in us. The human frowned. "Signals? Pheromones?" The elder nodded. "Yes. A scent carried deeper than air. Not poison. Not disease. A spark in the bloodline. It was said to wake the warrior minds buried in our ancestors. To make us stronger, but also dangerous. So dangerous that entire cities once fell when, exposed too long," the girl whimpered, pressing closer to the human. Her body shook as if each word struck her spine like lightning. The human steadied her. If this is science, then there's a way to control it. You must have records, research. The elder's face grew grim. We do.
What?
But those records were sealed by the council centuries ago. Forbidden to study, to even speak of it as crime.
Oh.
Humans' jaw tightened. So they locked the answers away, and now you'd rather exile me than use them? The elder's silence was answer enough, before another word could pass. The siren wailed again, 3 sharp tones this time. Danger close. Boots thundered in the corridors. Vark stormed into the room, staff clanging against the stone. His eyes locked on the human. There, he barked. See how she clings like an animal? The proof is before us. He is the cause. Elder, every breath he takes spreads corruption. The council must exile him now. The girl's growl deepened. She stepped between the human and Vark again, shoulders hunched like a predator's. The glow in her eyes blazed brighter than the lamps. Enough, the elder snapped. Not another word, Vark. The alarm at the ridge is real, in your council. Games can wait, but Vark sneered. Real, yes. Perhaps the human called it here with his cursed scent. Perhaps this fog carries more than beasts. The human rose slowly, keeping his voice calm. If something is out there, let me help. I didn't come here to destroy you. You already have, Vark spat. The girl snarled, but the human touched her arm. Don't. He isn't worth it. For a flicker of a moment, she listened. She held herself back. Even that small control sent shock through the healer and the elder. The elder took a slow step closer. His voice dropped low. If we are to save her, and perhaps all of us, the forbidden texts must be opened. Vark will fight it, but the law of crisis may allow it. Vark's eyes flared. You dare? Those books are cursed? To touch them is to invite ruin. The elder's gaze hardened. Better ruin by knowledge than ruin by ignorance. The human stepped forward. Show me the texts. If humans caused this once, then humans can understand it. Maybe I can control it. The girl clutched his hand, trembling, as if sensing the weight of his words. The elder exhaled long. Then come, but we move in silence. If the council learns too soon, they will kill the idea before it breathes. He led them through a narrow passage behind the quiet room deeper into the mountain. The torches burned low, shadows stretching across carvings in the stone ancient battles. Creatures with eyes like fire, towers crumbling under storms of light. The air grew colder as they descended.
Out west.
They reached a sealed chamber with a heavy door bound in black iron. Symbols marked its surface, warnings, prayers, curses. The elder pressed his palm against it. This is the archive of Ash, sealed 300 years ago. It holds records of the beacon sent and the last wars it caused. He turned to the human. Once we open it, there is no going back. Council will call us traitors if they discover it. The human's eyes were steady. If this bond can destroy her or save her, then I don't care about their counsel. Open it. The elder whispered old words, his voice trembling. The locks clicked. The door groaned open, stale air spilling out like dust from a grave. Inside, shelves of cracked stone tablets and glowing crystal records waited in silence. The girl whimpered, clinging tighter to the human, as if the air itself threatened her. He guided her gently, whispering again, breathe with me. In, out. Stepped inside, the chamber lit faintly with old runes. The elder traced a crystal with his finger, and it flared awake. Holographic symbols shimmered in the air, drawings of humans and aliens locked in strange embraces. Warriors rising stronger, beasts falling in frenzy. The elder's face was pale. The proof humans and our kind, bound by scent, by instinct, by something deeper. The old texts called it a fusion of survival and madness. They said the human could become the anchor, or the spark that burned entire clans. The human studied the glowing words. He didn't understand all, but one line, repeated again and again, made his chest tighten. The bond cannot be broken without blood. The girl's hand trembled in his. Her wild eyes searched his face, waiting, fearing. Outside, the alarm bell, rang again, louder, closer. Whatever moved in the fog was almost upon them, and inside the archive of ash, with forbidden science burning in the air, the human realized the council wasn't his biggest problem anymore. The real threat was coming, fast, and the girl at his side might be the only one who could fight it if she didn't lose herself to the wild first. The alarm bells outside kept wailing, echoing through the mountain corridors like the cries of a dying beast. The archive of ash glowed dimly around them, runes flickering as if they had awoken from a long sleep. The elder's hands trembled. Over the crystal records, his eyes darting between the human and the alien girl. The weight of old prophecy hung thick in the air, but the human's attention was fixed only on the girl beside him. Her breath was ragged, her eyes glowing with primal fire. She clung to him as though the storm outside and the shadows within the archive were the same enemy. He whispered the same words again, the only chain strong enough to hold her back from frenzy. Look at me. Breathe with me. In, out, in, out. And though the wildness twitched in her muscles, she obeyed. The elder turned, face grim. The beasts at the ridge will reach the gates soon. They are led. The guard believes they will not stop. We must act before the council does. Then let me help, the human said firmly. I've fought monsters before, if she can. Control this. He squeezed the girl's trembling hand. Then maybe we can face what's coming. Vark's voice rang from the doorway before the elder could answer. Face them, or bring them here yourself, human. He stepped into the chamber with 2 guards behind him, his staff sparking with energy. His eyes glared with triumph, as if he had caught them in a forbidden crime. The council will not forgive this. You opened the archive. You consort with the cursed scent. Treason. The girl snarled instantly, lowering herself into a crouch, every muscle taut. Her glowing eyes locked on Vark, and for the first time, her stance was not mindless. Frenzy, it was deliberate, protective, like a predator shielding its mate. The elder raised a hand quickly. Vark, stand down. This is no time for, but the words were cut short as a distant boom shook the mountain. Dust rained from the ceiling. The alarm bells clanged again. The guards outside shouted in panic. The beasts had reached the walls. The human felt the girl's claws tighten on his arm. She was trembling, but it wasn't fear. It was hunger for battle, for release. He saw it in her glowing eyes. The wildness could break loose any second. Elder, the human said, his voice steady but urgent. I can guide her. She's not lost. She's choosing. Can't you see? The elder's gaze softened, just for a heartbeat. Yes, but if she loses control, we will all pay the price. Then trust me, the human insisted. Vark snarled, raising his staff. Trust. This thing is no protector. She's a beast. Watch when the blood runs. She'll tear him apart before the enemy even reaches the gate. The human stepped between Vark and the girl, spreading his arms wide. No, she isn't a beast. She's fighting it. She chose to stand between me and you. If that isn't protection, what is? The girl's growl deepened, but her eyes flickered, uncertain. She looked from the human to Vark, torn between instinct and command. Breathe with me, the human said again, louder now, firm. As stone, you're not prey, you're not beast, you're you. For a moment, the impossible happened. Her claws lowered slightly, her breathing slowed. The glow in her eyes dimmed to a steady burn, no longer a wildfire. The healer whispered awe in her voice. He's anchoring her. She listens only to him. Before Vark could spit another insult, another explosion boomed from the gates. Screams echoed through the halls. Guards stumbled in, armor cracked, blood streaking his face. The beasts, he gasped. They broke the first barrier. Too many. Some are not beasts at all. They walk like men. The elder's face drained of color. Not beasts, raiders. They've bent the creatures to their will. Vark's expression twisted. Then all the more reason to rid us of this human. His cursed scent brought this doom upon us. The guard collapsed to one knee. Elder, if we do not stand together, the gates will fall before dawn. The human clenched his fists. Let us fight. I don't care about your counsel. I came to help and I won't watch you fall while you waste time arguing. The elder hesitated, torn. His people's law forbade trusting forbidden power. Yet here it was, alive before him. He had seen the girl's choice. He had seen her clawed hands protect the human, not strike him. Finally, he gave a sharp nod. Well, human, if you can anchor her, then fight beside her. The girl's head snapped up, eyes blazing with wildfire, but this time she wasn't trembling with fear. She was ready. She stood tall, shoulders back, claws flexing, and pressed, her forehead briefly against the human's chest. The gesture was primal, but it was not madness. It was bond. The human placed a steady hand on her shoulder. Then we fight together. Vark spat, but his words were drowned by the next alarm. The beasts were breaching the second barrier. The elder barked orders. To the gates. Seal the archive and leave no trace. If the council survives this night, they will judge us tomorrow. But tonight we survive. They rushed from the chamber, the iron door sealing behind them. The corridors shook with the sound of distant roars and breaking stone. The human's every step echoed with the girl's beside him, her claws scraping against the floor. She moved, like a predator in the hunt, but her glowing eyes never left him. At the outer gate, chaos reigned. Beasts with twisted horns and armored hides crashed against the defenses. While tall raiders with pale masks drove them forward, the defenders fought bravely, but each wave pushed them closer to breaking. The human stepped forward, the alien girl. At his side, defenders froze in shock at the sight of her glowing eyes and feral stance. She's with me, the human called. Don't fear her, fear what's outside. The girl let out a roar, primal and fierce, that shook the night. But it was not a roar of frenzy, it was a challenge. She leaped forward, claws flashing, tearing into the first beast that breached the wall. The crowd gasped as she ripped it down with unnatural strength. The human charged beside her, blade in, hand anchoring her with his voice every time her wildness threatened to spill too far. Stay with me. Left, right. Breathe with me. Together, they carved a path through chaos, predator and protector, bonded in a way no one could deny. And, as the elder watched from the wall, he whispered words not spoken in centuries. Perhaps the curse is also the cure. But above the roars and the clash of steel, Vark's voice rose cold and certain. No, the curse will consume them both. When it does, I'll be waiting. The night burned with fire and screams, but in the heart of battle, the bond grew stronger. For the first time, the girl was not just a wild animal. She was a protector, and the human was her anchor. Yet even anchors can break. The smoke of battle hung thick in the air. The outer gate was nothing more than splinters and broken stone, yet somehow the defenders still stood. Beasts lay scattered across the ground, their massive bodies twitching as the last breath left them. The alien girl crouched beside the human, her chest heaving, her claws stained. Her glowing eyes burned with fire, but they were locked onto him, not prey, not madness, but something sharper, something deeper. The human leaned against the wall, sword heavy in his hand. His breath came hard, but his voice stayed steady. Breathe. With me, he said again, forcing calm into his words. In, out, slow. Her wildness flared for a moment as the smell of blood filled her nose. But his voice anchored her. She mirrored him, drawing deep breaths, each one dragging her away from the edge of frenzy. The defenders on the wall stared in disbelief. Only hours ago, she had seemed like a beast about to tear him apart. Now she was fighting for him. The elder joined them, his robes torn from the chaos. His voice was low but urgent. We cannot stay here. The raiders will regroup. They will. Come again. The girl growled softly, her gaze shifting toward the fog beyond the ruins. She wanted to chase, to finish. But the human placed a hand on her shoulder and she froze, torn between instinct and command. Not now, he whispered. You're stronger when you wait. The elder's eyes narrowed. She listens to you alone. The bond is growing faster than even the texts warned. This is dangerous. The human, met his gaze. Dangerous, yes. But without it, we'd all be dead already. Vark appeared from the shadows, staff glowing faintly, his face twisted in contempt. And what happens when her instincts break your leash, human? Will you still defend her when she rips apart the council itself? The human stood tall, despite his exhaustion. She isn't a leash. She isn't a beast. She's choosing. Vark spat on the stone. Choice. You mistake instinct for will. The bond is poison. You may guide her now, but in time she will need more of you. More scent, more closeness, until she cannot live without it. And when that day comes, you will doom us all. The words cut through the human like cold steel. He glanced at the girl. She pressed closer to him, as if the idea of distance itself was pain. He could feel her trembling not from weakness, but from need. The elder's warning echoed in his mind. The bond cannot be broken without blood. The human spoke carefully. Then we'll learn control. Both of us. The elder's face remained grim. You do not understand. If the bond grows unchecked, it will consume her. She will stop eating, stop drinking, stop listening to anyone but you. You will be her air, her food, her heartbeat. Without you, she will die, and with you. He hesitated. She may kill to keep you. The girl let out a soft, possessive growl at the elder's words, pressing her forehead against the human's chest. Her claws flexed against the stone floor, ready to strike at even a hint of threat. The human lifted her chin gently, forcing her to meet his eyes. You're not a prisoner to this. You're stronger than that. You're more than what they fear. Her breathing steadied again, though the glow in her eyes didn't fade. She was fighting, but the fight was against herself. Suddenly, a horn sounded from the walls. A defender shouted, "They're retreating into the fog." The elder nodded grimly. No, not retreating, regrouping. They know now she fights with you. They'll come back with greater force. Vark slammed his staff. Down. Then end it now. Kill the human, break the bond, and the curse will fade from her blood. The girl snapped, stepping forward with a snarl so sharp the defenders recoiled. Her claws raised, her body ready to rip Vark apart for even speaking the words. Stop. The human said firmly. She froze mid-lunge, chest heaving, but his voice held her like chains of steel. Slowly, her claws lowered, though her eyes burned holes into Vark. The elder's expression shifted from fear to awe. She stopped. At your command alone. The human clenched his fists. This bond is dangerous, yes. But it's also the reason she can fight and not lose herself completely. Without it, she's gone. With it, maybe she has a chance. Vark sneered. Or maybe with it, she drags us all into ruin. The elder silenced him with a sharp gesture. Enough. Words. Cannot decide this. We must test her control. If she can protect without frenzy, then perhaps the bond is not only curse, but weapon. He turned to the human. But remember this, weapons cut both ways. If you lose yourself, if she loses youth, this entire colony will burn. Human looked at the girl again. She leaned against him, breathing in his scent as though it was the only thing keeping her alive. He could feel it now, the bond pulling tight, sinking into both of them. It wasn't just her instincts anymore. He could feel her heartbeat as if it was his own. The connection was growing, and he didn't know if he could resist it. The night deepened. Fires burned on the horizon where the raiders had vanished. The defenders rebuilt what they could of the walls, though everyone knew another attack was coming. Inside the broken gates, the human sat with the girl beside him. She never let go of his arm, never loosened her grip. The elder approached quietly. You must rest. Both of you. Tomorrow, the council will decide whether you live among us or die together. The human glanced at the girl. She was already half asleep, curled against him, her claws still clutching his shirt, sighed. Isn't just bonded, he said softly. She's trusting me. If I betray that, I'll lose more than my life. I'll lose hers too. The elder's eyes lingered on them both. Trust can be stronger than chains, but also far more dangerous. As dawn crept across the sky, painting the ruins in pale light. The human realized the truth. He was no longer just a visitor. He was her anchor, her shield, her only path back from the wild. And if the bond broke if the council tore them apart, the girl wouldn't be the only one lost. The dangerous bond had already begun to claim him too. The morning came gray and heavy with fog. The air itself seemed to choke the breath from the defenders as they stood atop the half-ruined gates. Everyone knew the raiders had not gone far. The beasts had dragged the broken bodies of their fallen into the mist, leaving only claw marks and blood in the dirt. The silence after the night's battle was worse than the noise. It was the silence of hunters circling, waiting to strike again. Inside the keep, the human sat against the cold wall of the council chamber. The alien girl had refused to leave his side all night. She crouched close to him, her eyes still faintly glowing, her head against his chest as if listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. Each time someone entered the chamber, her body tensed, claws flexing, but his voice calmed her. "Breathe with me," he said softly. She obeyed. The council gathered in a half-circle, robed elders with sharp eyes and weary faces. Center sat Vark, staff in hand, voice already dripping with venom. "There is no debate," he said coldly. "We all saw what happened. She is no longer one of us. She is a beast bound to him." And he jabbed the staff toward the human. "Is the source. Remove him, and she returns to herself." The girl's growl rumbled deep in her throat. The human touched her shoulder quickly. "Steady." She froze again, trembling, caught between fury and his calm. The elder, older than the rest, stepped forward with a measured tone. "The bond has shown danger, yes, but it has also shown restraint. Without him, she would have lost herself last night. Without her, the gates would have fallen." "This is not simple enough," Vark snapped. "Exile the human. End the curse." "Exile him," the healer said quietly, "and she dies." The chamber fell into uneasy silence. Everyone had seen how she collapsed whenever he stepped too far away. They knew the truth in the healer's words. Before another voice could argue, the ground trembled. Dust drifted from the rafters. The guards at the door shouted in alarm. From beyond the fog came a sound that froze every heart in the chamber, a deep, resonant roar, louder than thunder, shaking the very stones of the keep. The girl's head shot up instantly. Her eyes burned brighter, wildness surging like fire through dry grass. She hissed, claws digging into the floor, muscles coiling. The human grabbed her arms. "No, look at me. Don't lose yourself." But this was different. The sound outside had reached something deep in her blood. She shook violently, the glow in her eyes no longer a flicker, but a blaze. She shoved him back, not out of rejection, but because the instinct was too strong to chain. The elder's face went pale. "Begun the wild awakening." "What does that mean?" the human demanded. The elder's voice trembled. "When the bond is pushed beyond its limits, the beast inside her no longer hides. She will not only fight with you, Shay, will fight for you with all her buried strength. But if you cannot guide her," he looked grim, "she will burn herself away." The roar came again, closer. The wall shook. Guards shouted of shadows in the fog, larger than the beasts they had fought before. The girl cried out, clutching her head. Her body twisted, muscles rippling unnaturally, skin glowing faint silver. She fell to her knees, snarling like a creature caught between two worlds. The human dropped beside her, gripping her shoulders. "Stay with me, don't give in. You're not a beast." She snapped her head up, eyes blazing with such feral power that even the guards stepped back. For a moment he thought she would tear him apart. Instead, she lunged forward and pressed her forehead to his, panting, trembling. Her voice was rough, broken, but clear. "Fight with me." The chamber erupted in chaos. Some shouted to kill her, others to let her go. Before any decision could be made, the gate outside shattered with a thunderous crack. The raiders had returned this time, leading a beast so massive it blotted out the fog. Its horns curved like scythes, its eyes glowing red. The defenders screamed, "Ow!" Arrows rattled against its hide, breaking uselessly. The monster roared again, shaking the walls. The girl rose to her feet, wildness coursing through her. She looked at the human, chest heaving, claws glowing faintly with energy, as if her blood itself had changed. She was no longer trembling with fear, she was trembling with power. The human stood with her. He could feel the bond pulling at his very bones, dragging his heartbeat into hers. Every breath he took, she mirrored. Every step he shifted, she followed. She was no longer just listening, she was sinking with him. The elder shouted over the noise, "If you go with her, there is no turning back. Anchor her, or she will devour herself in fury." The human didn't hesitate. He took her hand. "Then we fight together." They rushed through the broken doors into the storm of battle. The raiders cheered in their harsh tongue, urging the massive beast forward. The defenders scattered in terror. But the girl leapt, faster than eyes could follow, her claws tearing into the giant's flank. The beast roared and swung, but she was no longer just herself. She moved with the human's rhythm, each step, each strike guided by his voice. Left, strike, breathe. Claws raking deep, dodging the massive horns by inches. The raiders screamed in rage as their monster faltered. The human charged. Two, his blade flashing, cutting down raiders who tried to surround her. Each time she wavered, each time the frenzy tried to consume her, his voice pulled her back. "Stay with me. You're not alone." But with every strike he felt the bond deepen. He wasn't just guiding her anymore, he was inside it. Her rage, her hunger, her raw power, they surged into him like fire through his veins. He'd stumbled once, dizzy, as if her instincts were bleeding into his own. For a moment, he wanted to roar with her, to tear and rend, to lose himself. He shook it off. No. Control. The girl howled, driving her claws into the beast's chest. With one last cry, she ripped through flesh and bone. The monster collapsed, shaking the earth. The battlefield froze. The defenders stared in awe. The raiders shrieked in fear, retreating into the fog once more. The girl stood panting, her body shaking with exhaustion, her eyes still blazing. She turned to the human, wildness burning, and for a terrifying moment, no one knew if she would strike friend or foe. He dropped his sword and stepped closer, raising his hands. "It's over. Breathe with me. In, out, in, out." Her eyes flickered, then softened. Slowly, her claws lowered. She stumbled into him, collapsing against his chest. He caught her, holding her tight as her body trembled with the aftermath. Of the awakening, the defenders erupted in cheers. The monster was slain. The raiders fled. For now the colony was safe, but the elder's face remained grim as he watched them. Now that the bond has grown beyond what any of us feared. She listens to him alone. He holds her leash, but the leash now coils around his own neck as well. If either falters, he shook his head. "We will all fall." And in the human's arms, the girl whispered with a voice still half wild, half clear, "Mine. Mine." The dangerous bond had awakened something greater than any battle could contain, and neither of them knew if it could ever be controlled again. The battlefield was silent at last. Smoke and fog curled through the broken gates, drifting past the fallen bodies of raiders and beasts alike. The defenders stood in stunned silence, watching the alien girl leaning against the human's chest, her glowing eyes dimming as exhaustion pulled her down. Her claws were slick with blood, her breath ragged, but she was alive, and more than that, she was calm. The human held her carefully, feeling every tremor of her body. She had unleashed something terrifying, something that could have destroyed them all, yet she had chosen to fight for him, not against him. That choice weighed heavier than any sword. The elder approached slowly, his face lined with deep worry. "It is done," he said softly. "The beast is slain. The raiders retreat. But the battle we face now is not with them, is with ourselves." Vark strode forward, staff clanging against the stone, eyes blazing with fury. "Do you not see? She is no longer one of us. She is chained to him like an animal. Without his voice, she will tear us apart. The council must decide no before. This bond consumes us all. The defenders murmured in fear. Some nodded at Vark's words. Others shook their heads, unsure. They had seen her save them. They had seen her claws spill blood in their defense. Was she beast or protector? The human looked up, his voice steady despite his fatigue. She is not chained. She chose. When Vark threatened me, she stood in front of me. When the beast came, she fought it, not you. That wasn't frenzy. That was will. The girl stirred faintly, her voice hoarse, but clear enough to silence the crowd. Mine. My choice. The elder's eyes widened. She had spoken before, broken words dragged through the storm of instinct, but this was different. Her voice carried not just wildness, but clarity. The healer stepped forward, bowing. Her head. Elder, you cannot deny it. The bond has not only awakened her instincts, it has given her a choice she never had before. If this is curse, then it is also gift, Vark snarled. Gift. She is bound to him so tightly she cannot breathe without him. What happens when he leaves? When he dies? She will slaughter us all. The elder raised his hand, silencing the argument. His eyes were on the human, it is true. This bond is dangerous. More dangerous than any blade, any beast. You are her anchor now, but the anchor can break. The choice before us is simple, though the cost is not. Do we separate you and risk killing her? Or do we let you stay and risk what happens if you lose control of her? The chamber fell silent. All eyes turned to the human. The decision lay not only with the council, but with him. He looked down at the girl in his arms, her glowing eyes watching him with raw trust, her trembling body pressed against him as though he was her last refuge. He thought of her wildness, of the claws that could tear through stone. He thought of the way she had pressed her forehead to his, whispering to fight together. He thought of the way her growl had turned to a word. Choice. He exhaled slowly. Then I choose to stay. The chamber erupted in gasps and shouts. Dot slammed his staff to the ground. Madness. You doom us all. The human stood tall, still holding the girl. Maybe I do, but if you force us apart, she dies. And I will not be the one to kill her. If this bond is dangerous, then I'll carry that danger, not you. The girl's trembling lessened. She closed her eyes and leaned into him, her body relaxing as though his decision had pulled her back from the edge. The elder studied them both for a long, heavy moment. At last he nodded. So be it. The council will not exile you. But here, me human, this bond is a blade sharper than any we have known. If you falter, if you fall, you may drag us all into ruin. This is the burden of your choice. The human's voice was quiet but firm. Then it's mine to bear. The healer touched her chest and bowed. Perhaps this is not curse but evolution. Perhaps she is first of what we feared on first. Of what we need, the defenders murmured. Some in agreement, some still in doubt. But none could deny what they had seen with their own eyes. Predator turned protector, beast turned warrior. Because of him, as the crowd began to disperse, preparing for the next night's defense, the human carried the girl to a quieter chamber. He laid her gently on a mat, her claws still clutching at his sleeve even in sleep. He stayed beside her, watching the slow rise and fall of her breath. The elder remained in the doorway, his voice low. You realize, don't you, that you are no longer visitor here? You are part of her, and she is part of you. The human nodded. I know. And when the time comes, the elder continued, you will have to decide again whether to stay and risk being consumed, or to leave and let her die. The human looked down at the girl, brushing a lock of silver hair from her face. Her eyes opened faintly, glowing softly as they met his. No, he whispered. The choice is already made. She gave a faint smile, something between human softness and alien sharpness, and whispered back together.
Elder?
The elder said nothing more. He only closed the door, leaving them in the dim silence. Outside, the fog still rolled, carrying the shadows of raiders yet to come. But inside the quiet chamber, for the first time, the human felt no fear. The bond was dangerous, it was fragile. But it was also real, and in a galaxy that had tried to tear them apart, that was enough.